What's up guys, Duarte here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Web Warriors and a few problems that we might have with this team. We are going to take a look at a few clips from Tauna from the test server where he's using the Web Warriors against the Doom 2.0 raid. And this is something that we need to pay attention to. It's the raid 2.0, not 2.3. So the performance of the team and what we are looking at might not be as good as it might seem. And why we are going to take into consideration characters like Symbiote Spiderman, Anti-Venom and Phyla-Vell to maybe help the Web Warriors. Okay, so once again let's just take a look at the difference between the raids and why this is something that we have to take into consideration, because when you change the difficulty you go from 0 additional stats on the enemies to extra 45% health, 75% more damage, 45% extra armor and 45% extra resistance. All these stats are going to be big in terms of how the team will act, and especially the armor and the resistance will definitely affect the negative effects being applied to the enemies, and the damage is also going to you are going to let's take a look at the clips and then you'll see why I'm concerned about this. Okay, so let's get started. Let's take a look at the clip. So on the first clip we have Symbiote Spider-Man together with the Web Warriors and Anti-Venom. Now I'm not saying that this is the best team. I would probably have Scarlet Spider instead of Miles, and that would be a pretty decent team. And if I would not have many problems with negative effects, then I would replace Anti-Venom with Spider-Punk. I don't think Miles is necessary on this team because his abilities and his stats are just not great, and even Spider-Punk is not great as well, but at least he applies the trauma and that can be a little bit more helpful. Okay, so let's get started, and I assume that Tauna doesn't have a lot of experience, because why would he not apply Disrupt to Strife knowing that Strife applies Taunt early on and completely disrupts his strategy, or apply the ability block to Emma, because Emma is going to clear all the negative effects anyway. So a lot of misplays here, but let's continue. As you can see, the Web Warriors are getting a ton of positive effects, and now Anti-Venom is not only going to give positive effects to the symbiotes but also to the Web Warriors, and you can see that like these they are always maxed out. Now, with Symbiote Spider-Man and with OG Spider-Man we have 2 stuns, and we have 2 characters that apply slow and defense down for 2 turns, so that's quite massive. OG Spider-Man also has the drain that gives him a lot more sustain, and once again look at these positive effects that he's giving to the team. This is thanks to his passive, and this passive activates whenever any character applies negative effects. So if it is a Web Warrior or a Symbiote or even Phyla-Vell, it doesn't matter, it will still trigger the passive and it will still give positive effects to the Web Warriors. Okay, so as you can see we are seeing the benefits of having 2 stuns rather than 1, and then the node is finishing and we are at a little bit above 2 minutes, so that's pretty good, assuming that we are using Anti-Venom, and he's definitely not the best damage dealer, and Tauna, the way he played missing the ability block and the disrupt on Strife and Emma Frost was not the best strategy. Okay, so once again why we want to bring Symbiote Spider-Man along. Defense down for 2 turns and it cannot be countered, and it's rebound chain, so there is a chance to apply several times. Then we have the special that applies bleed and also extends the negative effects for 1 additional turn. This can be ability block, stuns and so on, and we have 2 stuns and we have 1 ability block, so that's something that we definitely want to extend. Then we have the stun on a 5 energy cooldown. It's excellent, slow for 2 turns, and the best part, unavoidable and unblockable. The other Web Warriors don't have this, and in certain situations when you are facing Vision and Ghost, it's very important that you have this. Then finally we have 30% more max health to all Spider-Verse heroes, and all Web Warriors are Spider-Verse heroes, and this will jump their HP from 500k to 700k, which is a huge deal. And instead of having 3% healing per negative effect, we'll have 6% healing, and this is something that you'll see it's going to be very important when we take a look at the next clips. Okay, so let's get started. Let's take a look at the next clips. Here we have the symbiotes against the Web Warriors, and of course the Web Warriors will work much better. And I have to say that on difficulty 2, so Doom Raid 2.2, I do the same, I do less time on higher difficulties. So I assume that once again that Towner doesn't have too much experience on these Doom Raids because he didn't play properly as well. And then I use Phyla-Vel instead of Anti-Venom. With the Venom is still fine, but I prefer Phyla-Vel instead of Venom because of the barrier and the clearing negative effects from the team. These enemies, they apply a lot of ability blocks, and those are things that we don't want. Okay, so as you can see, they are doing fine. Now you have Moon Knight, and if you cannot stun Moon Knight, once again Symbiote Spider-Man giving an additional stun, Moon Knight will be extremely problematic because he's going to apply tons of the negative effects to these guys, to the Web Warriors, in case they don't have dodge. So it's something that we have to time out, but if you want to play as efficient as possible, you don't have to rely on luck, you have to use your strategy. So as you can see, the Web Warriors, they already finished it. It took 2 minutes to finish, and the symbiotes are still going. This will go for another 2 minutes, so the symbiotes take 4 minutes on difficulty 0, and the Web Warriors take 2 minutes on difficulty 0 on similar gear. Okay, so let's take a look at just at the last clip where he's facing the boss. And here this is the okay, on the first node you can make use of Miles because of Disrupt on Strife, and here you can make use of Miles once again, applying slow and turning wine to Dr. Doom, but it's not necessary. There are ways you can do exactly the same thing without using Miles, and this is why I think unfortunately Miles is the character that he has to be left out of this team in terms if you want to do like a maximum efficiency and so on. There are additional buffs that you get if you have the whole team, but is it going to be worth it to invest in all these characters? So many Oz formulas, it's just so much investment that you really want to avoid as much as possible. Okay, so as you can see, they are doing okay. They are doing some damage to these guys. Here we are not taking the most advantage of the defense down. He's doing mostly single target damage, making some decisions that are not the best, but it's still working out. The team is still doing fine on difficulty 0. But yeah, let's take a look at the kits and characters that matter and characters that don't matter as much. Ghost evade on the basic, it's unnecessary. We have the crit that gives ability block, that's great. Here the assist, Miles doesn't do anything on the assist, so this is something that we can ignore. Spread the negative effects, that's great. If you can extend the offense down with the Scarlet Spider and with the Symbiote Spider-Man, spreading that offense down to the other characters is going to be excellent. Then we have the retaliation, we have the additional damage, and we also have speed up and evade on spawn. So there is a lot of overlap with this team, and this is why we can cut a few characters and invest just on the characters that matter. And the Ghost is definitely one of the characters that matter. You want to have as high red stars on her as possible. Not the highest, I still think Scarlet Spider should be the priority, but Ghost Spider is a close second. Okay, so that was Ghost Spider, definitely invest on her. Then Scarlet Spider, amazing basic on raids, applies offense down, slow and defense down. This offense down is something very important for both symbiotes and the Web Warriors, and this is why I bring Phyla-Vel instead of Anti-Venom. Offense down and also the insane burst damage that she does. Then we have the extending negative effects with the long chains, unfortunately can be countered, and this is a problem. Then we have the ultimate, clears positive effects on raids. I'm not sure if it clears, if it has slow or without slow. If it is without slow, it's quite amazing, and it will be very complementary to what the other characters do. And then on his passive, and this is why it's so important, on when you apply negative effect, whether it's from a web warrior or not, you are going to heal the web warriors for 30% of this character's max health. So you need as high red stars as possible, because if you look at the team is having a lot of problems keeping all the characters up. In this situation, Spider-Punk, his health is quite low, and here a little bit more further we have the same problem with Ghost Spider, is that the team doesn't have enough healing, and this is why we have to consider bringing Symbiote Spider-Man along. So on top of that we have the extra HP, and this will stack up with the Symbiote Spider-Man. So Symbiote Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider will increase the HP of this team by 60%, which is massive, once again reaching those 700k. Then you have the 50% crit damage. This is not super necessary, we can bring still some characters as raiders, OG Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider and Ghost Spider. And if you bring Spider-Punk as well together with Symbiote Spider-Man, it's going to be massive in terms of damage output, but it's something that we don't have to prioritize, it's just an additional benefits that we have. This benefit that we get from having the full team, offense up and death proof, I mean it's okay, but if you are really using these death proofs, it's because you are doing something wrong. And the same goes for the energy. If you are lazy and you want to just press auto and finish, that's going to be great, but you are sacrificing tons of gear and tons of gold just because of these 2 energy, that if you're a good player you manage your cooldowns and you'll be fine with it. Okay, so Spider-Punk, he has trash basic, trash special, and this ultimate is only usable in very few nodes, and that's why it is the last option that you want to bring on this team with the web warriors. Is nice, but it's not necessary. On the Doom 1.0, 1.1 it's gonna be extremely necessary because of the Jessica Jones and Squirrel Girls, but on 2.0 and above it's not necessary. In case you bring him up, he gives you the additional crit. This does not require red stars, and the same goes for the ultimate. He doesn't require red stars, so make sure you save your red stars for the other characters. Now OG Spider-Man, as we mentioned before, he has the amazing passive that gives all the buffs. We have the stun, the slow, and defense down for 2 turns with the drain. And Miles is really the one that gets the shaft, turn rewind, that's fine. And on the passive, speed up, and the offense up. It's very unnecessary. We already have OG Spider-Man doing all those things, and he's definitely a better option than Miles. So yeah, in terms of priorities, you really want to focus on Scarlet Spider first. He's your main character because of his passive, then Ghost Spider because of the passive, but also the retaliation effect, and also the ability block and spreading the negative effects. Then you really want to go for OG Spider-Man, his passive giving all those buffs to all the web warriors. And lastly, you want to gear up Spider-Punk. Very few nodes require his abilities, the trauma and the crit is nice but not necessary. You can still do fine without team, and unfortunately Miles is the one that really gets shafted. Once again, he got shafted on the Young Avengers, and now on the Web Warriors is getting shafted again. And the value of Symbiote Spider-Man, that is already geared up, and Anti-Venom or Phyla-Vel as the last characters, they are already geared up. We can save the gear, and if indeed we need the Web Warriors for some legendary, that's fine, but I would not rush. Just focus on those 3, and then down the line you can slowly gear up the other characters, because even to unlock a legendary they only need gear tier 12 and gear tier 13 for 5 red stars and 6 red stars, so it doesn't have to be a big priority. So yeah guys, that's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, like always, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found the information helpful, make sure to share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. You really want to play smart and not waste resources on characters that are going to do very little for you, and you need to realize that the web warriors, they are great, but they have a few problems, which of them are negative effects and not having enough healing, and this is why you want to complement the team with other characters. And if you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.